it's your man James, Mr. One Treasure, back again with some more video action for you. Today's another stroll down memory lane as we do another episode of Why It's Great. And before I get into what our book is and why, I do my little shill here, of course, and say if you do like what you hear while watching this video, make sure you drop a like down there to help out the algorithms around the place. And also, if you got any comments to make, like on what you think about the book that we talk about here, please drop your comment down below. I always love hearing what you guys got to say. And please be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed so you don't miss any of the content that I'm producing around here on the regular. And if you have subscribed, share out some links so others can come and join us and get in on the fun with us, because it's always better that way, I think. So again, I want to thank you all for joining me today, and let's get into it. Of course, I do want to say I apologize if you hear a little bit of a fuzzy noise in the background. I got my neighbors here playing their mariachi music to nth degree for some reason. I guess I figure it's the end of summer, so hey, let's have one last big party, and just nothing I can do about it, folks. It's daytime, it's the way it is. Neighbors are neighbors. But speaking of which, we're going to get into our book now, and today's book is Thor number 383, which is a very special and different kind of issue, because this is the very first issue right after the classic Walt Simonson 4-year run on the book, and is the beginning of the next 6-year run by DeFalco and Ron Frenz. So kind of you think a key book, but it's different because the story, they didn't take place in the present. They tell you a story from the past, like a forgotten, untold story that you never knew. And I thought it was a very different approach to take, considering this is a whole new creative team coming on the book, rather than saying, let's pick up the story where we're going to go in the future. They decided to say, let's go ahead into the past. And so let's go ahead now and check out our book. So first of all, we'll get me off the screen here. And then we'll show you the book. And there we are, Thor number 383. Now, this is a story that takes place during the Secret Wars miniseries that was a big thing back in 1984, and this is from 1987, so it's a few years later. I just love the image. You got Thor ready to take on pretty much all the villains, and then you got in the background there, unsure what's going to happen next. You got the Enchantress. Is she going to attack Thor? Is she going to attack the villains? What's her plans here? But just a great image. And again, you just look at the image, and you just look at that great work by Ron Frenz. I mean, you definitely see the Buscema and Kirby, fundamentals in Ron Frenz work here. It's just totally incredible. And Brett Breeding inking, I've always said that Breeding is probably the best inker for Frenz's pencils. I've seen lots of guys inking, the great Joe Sinnott, Joe Rubinstein, Sal Buscema. Lots of great people have inked Ron over the years, but I think out of all the inkers that have ever inked his pencils, it was Breeding who was the best inker on Frenz work. These two just dynamite when they're together. So let's get on into our story now. And you can see, again, just like I've always said with superhero works, what's the best way to start it off? Best way to start off is with some action. So here you are, you got it looks like a godly knight fighting against some kind of monstrous giant. Just classic, fantasy, sword and fantasy type stuff. Stand back, little man. You flee from my sight, or your life is forfeit. For I have sworn that none may cross this bridge that I do guard. Then have at thee, monster. Daedalus the daring desires to entrance to yon castle. So I mean, right there, you just got like right from the jump street, And as you can see here, they even tell you the events in this story take place before this issue of Thor, which was during Simonson's run. So like I said, a kind of interesting way for the new creative team to start off by telling a story from the past that even takes place before the run of the previous creative team is done. And so it's kind of interesting way, I thought, to start things off. But here we go. And then he pretty much takes short work of our monster there, leaving him to his fate. He scales the wall, fights some more creatures. And I just love the classic, like almost like Shakespearean type speak that these guys have. Harpies who seek to rend me with claw and fang, but by my blade I swear that they shall not have me. At last, I have reached the safety of the castle itself. The prize I seek is near. I mean, I love that type of like old world speaking. It's just hilarious to me. Just because it's so overwrought sometimes with like emotions, and it just makes it a lot of fun. And of course, that's classic you get with the Marvel Thor, is that people call it Thor speak, but it's just classic old world Shakespearean type speak. And so we find, well, what's the prize? Well, the prize is the Lady Loralee. And so our hero comes up and, tells him that, he's been seeking her, and she asks why. And he goes, the poets have sung of your matchless beauty for countless years. I just had to see for myself if any woman could be as beautiful as they claim. So for the past 40 days and nights, I have braved the savage wastelands to journey here. And she asks, basically, what do you think? Do you think it was worth it? And he goes, my lady, I fear that the poets do not do you justice. And so, you're thinking, oh wow. And so she says, good time to, he says he wants to just, be worship her for eternity. And so she says, I'll give you your wish, and she turns him to stone, just callously. This guy who risked life and limb for 40 days just to see her, just to see if she was as beautiful as the stories claimed. And this is how she treats him. And of course, this doesn't go unnoticed because, who notices? But of course, the Enchantress. And so she shows up, telling, kind of chastises her a bit, saying that she's wasting this. And, she has what I call the typical modern woman's approach, is Loralee's thought here. He goes, perhaps, well, what care I for common godlings? I who have possessed the hearts of the mighty Thor and crafty Loki. My standards for love and passion are far greater than most. I shall not settle for anything less, as you have done with boring old Heimdall. And so, just basically trying to saying, I deserve the best. I'm worthy of the best. Just because you've settled for lesser doesn't mean I'm going to. And you can see the Enchantress doesn't take kind to that. And again, I love the shot here. All the blast lines, the way they have the shadow, she's like almost radiating energy from anger. The flaring hair, beautiful image. And she basically tells her how, no one can speak like that to me, not even my own sibling, because there was a time when even Thor could have been mine, and this intrigues her, and she goes, when was this? And so she tells her, and this is during the time of this Marvel superhero Secret Wars, where all the heroes and villains of Earth were brought to Battle World by the Beyonder to battle for their greatest heart's desire, and, on a patchwork world that the Beyonder created for them. And so she tells how, in the beginning, right at the start of the story, the villains attacked, but the heroes quickly take it to them, but she wasn't interested, because having no wish to soil my hands with common combat, I retired from the battlefield. But my peaceful intentions were of no interest to the bestial creature known as She-Hulk, because this is what happens when she gets knocked out, and now she's, put in stasis so that she can no longer be a threat to the heroes. But along comes Thor to free her. And she asks, what is this? Have you turned your back on the mortals? And he's like, no. He goes, but they are mortals, of which only gods. There are things of which only gods may speak, and which only gods can understand. You and I are the only immortals of Asgard on this world. We must talk. So they leave and take their place in this like little scenic beauty bit, and Thor talks of how the battle is a great battle coming up, and he hopes for victory, and this is perhaps why he became the warrior that he is all this is for this one battle. This is his moment. And so she asks, well, where do I fit in this? And he goes, it's a chance to redeem yourself, to prove yourself worthy of your heritage. And so she gets a little irked because she thinks, so you came to me merely because you sought to recruit another ally in your foolish quest for glory? I had hoped that you had another reason, but now I see you care nothing. You care for nothing save the thrill of battle. Very well, thrill to this. And so she uses her magical powers and brings some trees to life. And Thor goes in. I warn you, woman, if this be your ploy to aid in your escape, it will avail you not. And he goes to town, and then we see what her true motivations are here. She goes, a pity his wit is not the equal of his strong right arm. I have no interest in escaping him. Quite the contrary. I long to ensnare him. And so, while he is distracted in battle, I shall gather all my sorceress power into my lips. One kiss, and she shall be forever mine. But, as she's plotting her little deviousness here, a real threat exposes itself, not one of her own creation. So she cries for Thor. Thor sees that it's a real threat, and he comes in and he saves her, and he does away with the creature quite quickly. It was no real threat to him, you know. And then she goes to, well done, noble Thor. Thy strength and thy courage have won the day. My life is spared. Come now and claim your reward. And so she offers to kiss him. And why do you turn away? In truth, I fear the great price your gift will demand of me. He kind of knows almost that, like, this, there's something to this. You wouldn't offer this to me so freely unless there were strings attached, and he doesn't want any part of that. So she tries to entice him further, offering him, I can be anyone you want. I can give you pleasures, undreamt of by mortal or immortal. So all you have to do is kiss me, and I just love this, just the bam, I say thee nay. Though thou hast charms to tempt even Lord Odin, all father of Asgard, I shall not succumb to them. I will remain strong, virtuous. Again, the classic hero, putting off his desires and what he may want for the greater good, for something that matters more than his own selfishness, his own avarice. And so she begs his forgiveness, and he tells her, you got nothing to fear from me. He goes, I know full well what you were trying to do, but it doesn't matter. When will you learn that a goddess as bedazzling as yourself has no need to resort to mere sorcery to win a god's heart? He's trying to tell her, you don't need to be this way. You don't need to play these games, these tricks, to get someone to want to be with you. You can do it just, by being honest, by being, open to people. And so they go and take off. She goes, he goes, you must renounce your sorceress ways, lest your immortal life end in wickedness during the upcoming conflict. And you ask much, noble Thor. Aye, but with my aid, you can rise above your past misdeeds and be redeemed. And she's kind of taken with this. You can see, look at the expression on her face. Is it hope which now beats wildly within me, or is it something much more? Will his heart truly be ensnared by the sorcerous power of my lips, or will mine? You see, she's starting to feel things for him. It isn't just like, I want to possess him the way she's always felt. I want to possess this man. She's starting to feel something more, and she's wondering, am I going to make him fall for me, or is he going to make me fall for him? Meanwhile, while all this is going on, the heroes are attacked by the villains, and this is the very famous moment where the Molecule Man threw a entire mountain range on top of the heroes to try to destroy them. Of course, it didn't work, but he still did. And she says, while that was all going on, here they are, just this quiet repose of these two immortal beings, trying to, he asked her what she would want if the villains were to win and they get the wish that they want from the Beyonder. What do you want? She goes, his love. Because as well for I stop at nothing to satisfy my selfish desires, and I have often sought to take your love by deceit or force. And in Thor, love is not an object to be seized or stolen. It can only be given. Again, these are like life lessons that we all kind of, we've all had maybe people who we wanted to love us the way we thought we loved them, and it just didn't happen, because you can't force someone to love you. It's either something that they feel, or it's something that they don't, and they can only give it to you. You cannot take it from them, And so she wonders, if she goes, could you ever love me? And he goes, I know not. He doesn't know, and she uses her beauty to try to ensnare him, and he goes, kiss me, Thor, give me a glimmer of hope, and I will try to be what it is he says he wants her to be, and she'll forgive me, because she knows what she's about to do is to ensnare him. But of course, before that happens, there's an earthquake, and so they decide to return to the hero's base. And when they get there, well, here's what's waiting for them. What's this? Our fortress laid waste? where are my comrades? What have you done with them, Doctor Doom? And he goes, they're all dead. We dropped a mountain on them. And Doom tells him, basically, you can surrender and we'll go give you a merciful, quick death, or you cannot. He goes, it is 13 to 1 against you, and then perhaps, and then he wonders if she's going to side with him, and of course she doesn't here. She just restrains herself, and he's like, so be it. Thor fights alone, and then the battle begins, and you can just see, I think, and just the great dynamics that you're going to see here in the next couple of pages with the battle. Again, this is where Friends really shines. He really knows how to do the superhero action to make it exciting visually for you. Just the posing and the level of detail he puts in a battle. Like you can see right here, like this page right here, and I love this. Here he nails Ultron with Mjolnir, then Titania comes in. Stupid, you shouldn't have thrown away that club. It might have given you a chance against me, Titania. Titania, the woman who killed Thor with her bare hands. That's what they'll call me. And I just love Thor's response. He was, mayhap, woman, when Icicle's ornament Surtur's fiery realm. Basically, when hell freezes over, and just look at it, just bam, just with a look at it, it's not even with his fist, just the back of his hand, just a backhands her. And look at, she goes flying. I mean, see, this is what I'm talking about when I say, this is superhero comics done right. This is how you do it. It's just so dynamic and so intense. In this battle, and I love that Thor just making quippy Shakespearean shots at people like that. That's just hilarious to see, because you don't think of Thor as like a Spider-Man. You expect him to talk trash. Here, Thor's talking trash, but it's like almost like in like a Victorian polite way, and I just love that. It's hilarious. So then the Absorbing Man steps in to attack, and you can see here the Enchantress is off to the side. Thor hath great need of me now. This is truly my chance to prove myself worthy of his love, but I am afraid. And you can see he fights. Not just just look at that pose here that he just sucks and knocks out the Absorbing Man, just bam, like he's nothing. Despite thy mind-staggering abilities to absorb the power of anything thou dost touch, thou art only mortal. While I am an immortal of Asgard, the son of Odin himself. I am the Mighty Thor. And I just love reading this dialogue as Thor speaks, because I think back to one of my favorite cartoons as a kid was Thundar the Barbarian, and anytime I read a Thor comic, I always imagine Thundar's voice for Thor, because it just sounds so perfect, and I just love, and with dialogue like this. This is like the kind of way, when you watch the cartoon of Thundar the Barbarian, this is how Thundar sounded when he spoke. And so I just always imagine Thundar's voice coming out of Thor. The battle continues as he fights against the Wrecking Crew. More damage being done. And again, it's just they cannot hold a candle to Thor. The time hath come when Thor must show his true mettle. Now I shall exact a vengeance worthy of a true son of Asgard. And then then the Wrecker comes in and he goes, strike all you want, Thunder God. It ain't going to change a thing. We don't care how long it takes. We're going to keep coming at you. So he tells him basically just give up. He goes, so why don't you save yourself a lot of needless grief and just lay down and die. And then of course, again, ever the hero, the honor, never. Where there is life, there is hope. Thor shall endure. Again, look at this. I mean, look at the impact of these images, and again, any of these, nowadays, if they were to do this, it'd probably be a splash page they would make it out of this, take this, make it a splash page. But here, in just in one mere frame here, one mere panel, and yet it has all the impact of a splash page. This is what made Friends so great in the action of superhero comics, is doing stuff like this. This is what makes him so great. So then, Thor starts to bring down the lightning, and then that's when Doom sets his plan into motion here. He uses Ultron, who he said he'd now upped his weaponry with a disintegrator in it, and they fire, and it seems, I believe the test can be called a success. So it would appear, Dr. Doom, nothing left of Thor but his helmet and scraps of his cape. And then you can see the Enchantress in the background here just loses it. Thor is dead. Of course, that was always my desire. Why? Do you dare question the wisdom of my actions? And then this shot right down here of just her eyes. No dialogue, no real facial expression, nothing, just the eyes. And it says it all. No, I do not. And she just walks away. And then she tells her sister how, of course, Thor survived. He didn't run because he was scared. He ran because he wanted to find his friends and help them. And so, here it is. She had a chance to prove herself to Thor, and she failed. She let her fear prevent her from doing what was right. And it cost her something that she had always wanted. And then Laura Lee, just is oblivious. I don't see the point. And so she tells her, you got to be blind. And that's when she tells her, look to yon warrior. Perhaps he was the one destined to bring you happiness. Perhaps your cruel jest has cost you far more than you could ever imagine. And so then, she tells her, I've explained it, told you what it all means. It's up to you to decide now. And then we see her decision. Just a great little fun story that focuses on character. And they got the action in, of course, but the real heart of the story is how the Enchantress tries to pass on some wisdom, only to have fall on deaf ears. So, like, a very interesting story. Like I said, a very interesting take, because again, this is almost like a story where Thor is almost a guest star in his own book, because it's really the Enchantress's story is what's being spotlighted here. And like I said, it just was a very interesting take for a new creative team who was coming on the book at this time back in 1987, taken up from like what is heralded as one of the most classic runs of the character ever done by the great Walt Simonson. And just to start off with a story that is small in tone, that is not even focused on Thor himself, from a tale of the past, doesn't even have any any congruity to what is about to come in the future with the stories that are taking place after the Simonson run. I mean, it was a very intriguing way for the team to introduce themselves to the readers, and I liked it for that. I liked this little sort of like morality play, about love and honor and deception and worthiness. Just a really, just like a Shakespearean tragedy, in a way, because the Enchantress didn't get what she wanted when she was tested, and then trying to pass that knowledge on to her sister just laughs it off and doesn't learn the lesson either. Like the cycle perpetuates itself. And again, it's something that we see in real life, but here they are using immortal characters to show this, and it humanizes them in a way that is that only those who are really well versed in how to properly tell a story could show you that with characters like this. And again, like I said, the battle stuff is awesome. Just great images like these, this, and of course this one, probably my favorite. Like I said, just with the back of his hand, here it is. She came in hitting him as hard as she could, and he just backhands her and she goes flying. Just beautiful stuff. I mean, this is the high impact power of superhero comics. And again, I just love the saying what we all know he's saying, but saying it in his own inimitable fashion. I just love that. That was always the fun with Thor, when he would say certain things and we know what he means, but yet he said it in a way that is like totally like not what the way we would say it. Always made it a lot of fun. But yeah, this to me, again, like I said, ever since I first read that Amazing Spider-Man 260 issue by Friends and DeFalco, they made me a lifelong fan of their work. And their work on Thor is probably among some of the best work they've ever done. And like I said, for me, Brett Breeding, pound for pound. I mean, look at the way he inked this awesome splash page. the underside of the bridge, getting that wood grain in there, the great shading on the giant. I mean, all of it is just well done. Like I said, it's a fun story. It's not a key. It's not something major. It's not something that's like, oh God, this is going to be some big valuable issue. In fact, this issue, again, you could probably find it for like a nice copy, a very nice copy for like $5 or less. It's not going to bust your budget, and it's done in one story. And I do have to say though that DeFalco was very well done in how he handled this story, because if you read the Secret Wars, there was a moment where Thor was with the Enchantress and they disappeared, and then later, we saw, Thor later, and you see how Doctor Octopus said, here's some scraps of his cape and his helmet, and later when we saw Thor in the story, he was missing that stuff, and it was never explained in the story why is this Thor doesn't have his helmet anymore? Where's his cape? This story kind of fills all that in, and I just love how, again, just how he so perfectly got that story just to be fitting in between. Like, it's like one of those great things where, like, where you look at a great story and say, is there a way to fit a little bit of more story in there? And that's what DeFalco does here, and he does it masterfully. He added to the context of the Secret Wars without having to change continuity or retrofit something in that didn't fit. Just great stuff. And so, like I said, this is just a very interesting first impression from the new creative team of the book at the time. And it's well worth checking out. Like I said, a very emotional story. Like I said, it's not really focused on battle, even though you saw some great battle sequences in it. It's really more of a personal story, and it really focuses much more on the Enchantress than Thor, but it's still a very well done tale, well worth your time. And I would say, if you can find a copy of this, like I said, for $5 or less, it's not an expensive book, and it's the beginning of the Friends and DeFalco run, which would go on for 6 years. And just very, very well done. Just classic comic book storytelling. A love story wrapped around superheroics. I mean, that's kind of what it is, and it's it's almost like a romance comic with superpowers, and I really liked it for that. Kind of like almost blending two genres together that normally wouldn't go together. Beautiful stuff, and like I said, you really would not be hard pressed if you found a copy of this to check out for yourself. So there you go, Thor number 383. Definitely one worth checking out. Classic from 1987, from some of the earliest days when I first started getting into comics. Probably, might be part of the reason why I love it so much. But let me know what you guys think. Drop some comments in there. Tell me what you think about the issue. Do you think the mixing of the romance and the action was a great balance in here? Do you think they should just stuck to more classic superhero stylings instead of a little one-off fill-in story kind of in here to set off the new creative team? Let me know what you guys think. But I'll be back with some more stuff soon, and so until next time, take care.